Matt EPSTEIN, who is the chairman of the South Valley Planning Commission, must leave the room, so Ellen Vukovich can give us an update on development projects in the Sherman Oaks area.
Hi everybody, Happy New Year. And I don't know if you've read President Obama's biography. If you haven't, I encourage you to read it, because in it you'll discover that he started as a community activist. He called it a community organizer, and look where it took him today. And my point in saying this all to you is that every single person here in this room is connected, and the power that's being generated from all of you taking the time tonight to come here and show your concern is something that can be carried forth to sending the powerful messages when you vote. And if you'll notice, there's an overriding theme coming up in our last couple of meetings on the YouTube sites, and this month's and of course next month's meeting, the importance of all of you voting and being informed voters. Proposition B, the solar measure, I just want to tell you that the city of Los Angeles is, or certain parties within the city are waging a very aggressive campaign to defeat any proponents, anybody that dares to speak out against it. They went so far as to sue what is now called the Solar Aid. David Hernandez was one of the parties, as was Ron Kay from the Daily News, the former editor. And they did not achieve their objective, which was to have any opposing arguments on the upcoming ballot measure. You know, we vote again in March, and then we'll be voting again in June, and then we'll be voting again probably in September. But anyway, the court ruled in favor of the solar aid, and this is monumental because there was objectionable wording that the solar aid later realized within reason should be removed, which was the reference to no public hearings were conducted to hear Proposition B. The fact of the matter is, when you hear all of, and read all the campaign literature that will be coming your way, there was a very important part about the public process that was removed. And there's a memorandum of understanding that exists between the Department of Water Power and the neighborhood councils, and that they are supposed to bring, DWP is supposed to bring large matters, including rate increases, before they implement them or consider them, to the neighborhood councils. There's 90 or so, I think there's 80 or so certified neighborhood councils. They represent hundreds of thousands of stakeholders in the city of Los Angeles, and as such, they're elected by stakeholders, people like you and me. And that whole process was totally ignored by the city council. Plan B, or Measure B, was literally railroaded right through the city council, and then a consultant's report was issued right after that saying, look, this thing's filled with more holes than a solar panel is used to capture the sun's rays. The point of me telling you all of this is just be very careful when you hear and you read the literature. Consider what David Hernandez says. It is true. It's a $3 billion bond measure. Where's the money coming from? Yeah. So who's that mean? Of course, resident ATMs. Okay. It looks to raise electrical rates by about 40%. And if you don't believe me, you can talk to Nick. I don't know if Nick is still here. There he is. He's the man that can tell you even more. All right, on to other news. Development issues, things are very slow right now, understandably. You know, this is one of those things, be careful what you wish for, because just when development does slow down, you end up with other problems, in this case, half-completed construction projects and vacant lots. So you are the ears and the eyes of the community. Again, I'm talking about claiming some of that power, some of that same power we saw last night. You have, if you don't like what it's looking like when you go by an abandoned or a delayed construction site, get on the phone to the city council office. That's what they're there for. Just like Adina says, they're there to serve you. So, don't know the telephone number? City's one-stop phone number for everything is 311. Call it in, and you'll be surprised the response you will get. Okay, how many of you live in preferential parking district 51? Can I see a raise of hands? I'll tell you what, come see me after the meeting. We can talk about that later. Another marijuana dispensary has opened up on Ventura Boulevard, this time in Sherman Oaks, sandwiched between two very popular restaurants. And guess what? Absolutely nothing can be done about it. It's a very long, complicated story. I had a very long conversation with our esteemed city attorney, who basically told me that an interim control ordinance, a temporary law, was put into place to stop the opening of these stores until the city council could figure out what to do, how to license, how to control, because they were just popping up everywhere. Forget what you feel about marijuana. The fact of the matter is that it was voted by the citizens, by the voters of California, to legalize it for medical purposes. The only problem is nobody thought far enough ahead about regulations. Like I said, forget what you think about it, good or bad. The point is these stores were popping up all over the place, and they were causing auxiliary problems, purported dealings. I don't know, I haven't seen it, it's all hearsay. The point is there's a lot of complaints, and the city attorney went to this, working with the city council, and they created this interim control ordinance, and they gave, you'll know this word, they gave exceptions to the law that enabled about 100 and some odd of these stores that have been opening up since they put a stop in November 2007 of more stores. They enabled those places to continue working under a hardship exemption. So there's about 100 and some odd of these stores that are still open that file an exemption, and anybody that decides to open up a new business can also file for an exemption, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Fast forward to the fact that for the past, I don't know how many months, there's been the permanent law to deal with these marijuana dispensaries sitting in front of City Council, Planning, Land Use, and Management Committee. That's it, right? Yeah. Anyway, and they're sitting on it. They're also sitting on dealing with the 100 and some odd files, whether or not to deal with these existing businesses. It's a complex issue. The bottom line is it's stuck. And it needs, so if you have any objections or problems or questions, it's in your neighborhood or not, call the city's 311 number, talk to Planning, Land Use, and Management. Jack Weiss is one of the members. You can register complaints. The billboard ban, there's a new phenomenon going on. Have you noticed if you drive by certain tall buildings that have no windows on one side, you'll see a big banner drop down? Well, this is a precursor to, it's considered an art project, so it's exempt right now from any kind of billboard enforcement, but it's considered among knowing parties that it's a precursor for the billboard companies to get around and find a new way to display advertising. I don't know about you, but I'm all for everybody spreading the word, but I think it does reach a point. And this, seeing a 6-story billboard just seems to be a little more of an infringement into our visual context. Neighborhood councils, I just want you to know, I think this is really important. They were dealt what I consider to be a serious blow, and bad blow. The city council will only allow them to introduce any kind of motion for consideration by the city council, something that may be important to the community, only if all of the individual members fill out a full financial disclosure form. These people serve as volunteers, and it's one thing, but they are elected officials, so it's one thing you can see the point of the city council, but it's like, well, wait a minute, these guys are volunteers, they're helping their communities, when does it end? And it's known, it's not a secret. The city council is definitely not supportive of the neighborhood council system. And that's not necessarily good news or bad news, it's just something to relate to you. I got a few more things you have to forgive me. I need Jim Kaplan or Marcy Marks to quickly come up here. They were going to just tell you about the new paper that's being distributed into the community. Nancy, will you come up and do you have anything you want to add about Best Buy in light of what was said? Okay, Fashion Square, in the meantime, I guess the paper people have left. They're gone, okay, you can see me afterwards, I'll talk to you about that. Fashion Square, we're still waiting for the response from the city. It's written by the Westfield's attorneys and consultants, but it's going to be from the city. Their response to the draft environmental impact report, all the comments, and there were hundreds of pages submitted by this community in response to the plans. Will the project go forward in this economy? Yes. Don't be fooled. It's a great opportunity for them to do this while things are slow, do all the construction, and then the hope is, as is felt across the country, that in the next few years, by the time major construction projects are finished, people will be ready to open up their wallets and spend more money. Okay, Nancy?